So the link comes up.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, welcome, Tessa.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So Liam, I'm going to assume you'll be our gatekeeper again tonight.
Happy to be the gatekeeper.
Are there people in the wings?
We do not, the waiting room is not enabled at this point. I can enable it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Are there, well,
There are no big hearings tonight, so there's potentially not going to be many attendees beyond the group that's here now and Russ. But
Yes, Russ, as far as I know, Russ is not coming.
Oh,
So Tessa, Russ, Missoula, one of the commissioners is going to be absent.
Okay.
And so do you want me to enable, do you want the waiting room or?
that seems reasonable to have it just in case.
Okay, sure. Okay, and so Liam, do you want to be
yeah.
co-host with me?
You guys have got a thing going.
Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Oh crud, I better plug in my laptop. Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I will open our meeting on September 10th, 2020. Linda, can I ask you to read our statement that we need to have read at the beginning of each of these meetings?
Sure. Following the governor's restrictions on public meetings, this meeting of the Shutesbury Conservation Commission is being held virtually using zoom.com for remote participation only. The public may access it following the instructions in this meeting's agenda posted on the town website.
Thank you. And we tried to do this 2 meetings ago when we had all the technical difficulties, but once again, welcome to Tessa. And let's see, I've got so many papers here, it's hard to keep track of them all. Just a second, pardon me, I thought I'd opened it up. So I know Tessa had a position with Hilltown Land Trust previously, and is currently is your position considered clerk or agent in Leverett?
Conservation agent.
Okay, and is currently the conservation agent in Leverett. And Tessa and Linda and I met once to get her started on her orientation, and I know Linda and Tessa have met at least one more time. Is that correct?
2 more times.
Two more times. Okay, so things are rolling along. And Tessa is taking minutes tonight, so hope that goes well. Let's
Me
see.
too. Linda's gonna check them. So.
Well, Linda is a master minute taker, so sounds like a good plan. Our next news item is Southbrook Conservation Area, and I
Minutes, Penny.
do I have the wrong? Yeah.
Minutes, Penny.
Oh, minutes. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Linda. And Linda keeps me on track. Can we consider the meeting minutes from our 9/3/2020 meeting? Did anyone have any feedback for Linda on the minutes?
I liked your suggestion of breaking it up,
Yeah, that was good.
the culvert.
Yeah, I find those long paragraphs daunting to read. So I tried to find some semi-logical breaks in there. But other than that, I thought they were wonderful, as always.
I agree.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented with the additional paragraph breaks.
Liam Cregan seconds that motion.
Okay, all in favor, please state your name and vote.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Penny Jakes, aye. Um, and I think everybody knows that both of the hearings that are on the docket for tonight are being continued. So we'll do that when the time comes. Southbrook Conservation Area intern and mapping. I know, Robin, you said you would consider taking that project on. Have you given it any?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about all that it would entail, but I'm happy to learn more about it.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to talk with you more. Maybe we can do it at the co-op.
After the site visit tomorrow.
Yes. So I'll talk to you more about that. Great. Lake lowering MOU. I have not received Mark Rivers revisions yet, so I guess that is still in the works. I will do my best to remind him to keep that moving along. Top of the lake area, conservation area. I purchased $1,000 worth of fencing today.
It's part of the community preservation funding for the project.
Yes, it is, right. Yes. And so I'm seeking someone to do fence installation. So if any, well, Liam, you're not here in town, and Tessa, you're not here in town, but Robin, if you know anyone who does those sort of things, it turns out people who do fencing projects are benefiting from the COVID-19 crisis. Everyone seems to want a fence put in this year, and no one is scheduling fence installations until next spring. So
if I hear of anything, I'll let you know.
Yeah, so Linda has someone she's going to ask, and we'll see. Hopefully that will be, I'm hoping to track someone down in the next week or so to get that taken care of. Site visit schedule. Linda, do you want to address that for us?
Sure. So I've contacted all the parties involved, and they are all set for Sunday, the 13th. You're going to meet at Town Hall at 11, and you'll go right down to 34 Cooleyville Road for the building permit application for a tractor barn that already has the sonotubes in place. They felt like they were okay because the commission had been out for the addition to their shop not too long
At which
ago.
time I told
I know.
Mr. Rogers to please call us before he planned any more projects.
Yeah.
I
And
looked him right in the eye.
yeah. So they won't be home, though I've obtained specific directions about where you are to look. And I don't think you'll make any mistakes
Okay.
to finding it. Then you're going to go, down to 80 Shore Drive. There's a building permit for a new garage with a cement pad. Does not appear, there are no mapped wetlands for this, and it's on the non-shore, it's on the opposite
Across
side
the
of
street from the lake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just rule of thumb, everybody, Shore Drive, odd numbers are on the lake, evens are up on the non-lake side of the road, and Lake Drive, even are on the lake, odd are on the other side. Anyway, then I left Lock D18, Locks Pond Road for last because I figured that would be the more time consuming. Oh, wait a minute. While you're on Shore Drive, I'm hoping that you can take a little scoot over. Robin will know where this is. To look at the root ball. Donna West left a message saying that she had received Chuck's phone messages, asking as the president of the association if she would go over there and take a look and converse with the property owner, David Brooks, about the root ball. Because of the association's history of challenging history with relations between the two parties. Their conversation was not productive as to what to do. And so it just seems like if her feeling is that to just leave it in place, that it acts as a filtration for any runoff erosion going towards the lake.
Mhm.
So it seems to make sense, and she'll be right over there if you could take a peek and see what you
Okay,
think.
so I understood that part of the issue was was Russ's concern as to whether this was on Mr. Brooks' property or on the sort of right of way of the road property. And
Yeah.
Donna still doesn't want to weigh in on that.
I guess it sounded like it's on both. And
I see. Okay. Okay. Just good to know as much information as possible.
yeah,
I'm going to a potentially contentious.
right. If you just be on the road taking a look, it just seems if you could, I don't know if there's anything the commission can do, but just having a sense of the situation. And so then I left, as I said, Lot D18, Locks Pond Road, for last, because that's probably the more time consuming one, because it's two parts. One, and I will, one is looking at the wetland crossing work that was done under an order of conditions. And this is for a certificate of compliance. And then the second part is walking up the Woods Road to a lot that's set back from the road. It's in the building envelope of the conservation restriction that's held by, as Penny talked last time, held by Hilltown Land Trust. And so there's a staked out shed and barn that you'll be looking at. And the landowner will meet you at the base of the Woods Road. When, he'll be there. And yeah, so that's the scoop.
Okay.
And I'll
And
send out all the information tomorrow for you.
did you map the area to determine? I'm fairly certain there are no wetlands there, just from the previous times of.
Oh yeah, because it's upland. Yeah, so
I
I've
know
got,
there's a stream between that lot and the existing house.
let's see. I have a whole lot of
Yeah, I know that's a very thick folder.
information here that I've taken out so that I can scan for you. And there is a wetland near, well, because of the crossing on the Woods Road, there is a wetland that runs up sort of behind. Well, you'll see. I'll send you the whole scan thing, but the upland area where the building envelope is, there's nothing shows on the GIS.
Okay.
mapping.
Okay. Email regarding work done on Lake Drive. So all of you may remember one of the times we were looking at sites on the lake, we looked at a site where there had been a concern expressed about a culvert. Was it on Great Pines that?
It runs from 30 Great Pines Drive to 70 Lake Drive, property owned by the same person.
Right. So I know Liam and Robin, you were around that day, and this was, it's the corner lot. It was a newly seeded lawn, and I think we felt that there was no wetland issue associated with this. But we've gotten a subsequent email from the original person, correct, Linda?
Well, there were two original persons, and this is one of them.
Okay.
That I followed up with, but then she wrote back saying, well, I'm still not certain that that the outlet to the culvert that runs under the road is more than 100 feet from the lake.
Right.
And
And Robin and Liam, do you remember the site, I hope?
I remember the site. I don't remember much past the actual culvert, but
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of in the middle of the yard, right? And then it was maybe 30 feet to the road from there.
Well, they had a drain. They had a surface drain on 30 Grapevine
Okay.
Drive, which is what you looked at first. And then
Right.
then it was, the issue was that there was he had permission from the association to, because it's an association-owned road, he had
Mm-hmm.
permission to install a culvert that would take any of the surface runoff, as well as from the foundation drain under the road, percolate into a basin, a stone-filled area, and then go underground before it went into the lake. And according to the property owner, he said the outlet to the culvert that is on his 70 Lake Drive property is 146 feet from the lake.
Which, without going and measuring, I feel fairly confident that it's well over 100 feet, because this is on the property in question is on the opposite side of Lake Drive from the lake. And I believe those properties are, well, I don't have it mapped, but I think when we stood there, we felt fairly confident that it was well over 100 feet.
Yeah, it was when we did that site visit for the cottage that's being raised, and the proposed septic site for that cottage, which was on the lake side of the road, was like 110 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to be more than 100 feet.
Yeah, I went through the same sort of exercise in my mind, Liam. So I'm pretty confident that it's more than 100 feet. Liam, would you be willing to respond to this woman?
Sure, and I guess we'll kind of be in that area on Sunday too, so maybe I can
We
just
can
stop by and
confirm that.
get a fresh look at it, so I can actually remember. I can't really remember what's going on with the drainage system, but I do remember us discussing that it seemed more beneficial than it not being there.
Right, right.
Yeah, I recall the same thing. Though there were so many things we were doing in that area, they're all kind of
Yeah, it was a
together.
busy time right in there. So, as we're talking about this, I wonder if we need to just make a request of the Lake Wyola Roads Committee that when they give permission for things like new culverts, that they also include us in that sort of quick review, in the same way we asked Tim Hunting to let us know when he's putting in a new culvert or replacing a culvert, just so we can decide ahead of time whether it's a project that we need to have any further conversation with. What do you think about that, Linda?
I think it makes sense. I was thinking that perhaps an email to Tracy McNaughton, who's been the lead person on the roads committee, as well as Donna West as the president, would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so maybe when we're up at the lake on Sunday, we'll just swing by there and we can look at it and talk about this a little bit further.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm happy to
Makes sense.
send out an email on Monday.
Okay, great.
I could forward, Liam, I can forward you the email trail for the person who was inquiring, if that would, so you'll have that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, CBA special permit application for 32 Lake Drive.
So as part of one of the steps for special permit applications for zoning boards, for the zoning board, you have to notify relative boards and committees. So Conservation Commission is notified. This is a case where you issued an order of conditions for the demolition and rebuild. So typically, as clerk, I would respond write a note to the ZBA saying that the Conservation Commission has issued an order of conditions for this project. And then when they write their decision, they would reference the order of conditions in their permit. So if, yeah. So Tess and I can do that together, or we just, yeah.
So just so I understand, the ZBA is just wanting to know that we're already aware of that site and we have no further issues?
Right. They send these notices are sent to, for example, the fire department, the planning board, the Board of Health, so that everybody who may have something to say has a chance to weigh in. So, yeah. So for example, if they got a special permit application for this project and the commission had no awareness, well, that would be like, oh, well.
Yeah, right. If we hadn't already had a lengthy conversation with them about other things. Okay.
Okay.
Article for our town newsletter. What is the deadline, Linda?
Yes, the due date for articles is Friday, September 25th.
Commissioners, anyone have any great ideas of a topic we could expound upon for the town newsletter?
Is this a regular thing, or you were asked to do this?
We always have the opportunity to put in an article if we have an issue that we would like to bring to the town as a whole.
Right, this is our town. I was thinking it was a school newsletter. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the high school.
I think we often don't do anything in the fall because it seems like issues relating to the commission tend to wind down as the fall proceeds. We almost always put something in the spring reminding people that they should check with us before they do any projects. But it's always worth thinking about. I think last year we put a short article in because we had just helped negotiate the purchase by the state of a small parcel of land on the S-curves that had almost been developed and ended up not being developed, and now it's protected by the state and it's adjacent to the large Coles protected area. The Paul
Brushy Mountain.
Yeah, the Brushy Mountain.
Brushy Mountain, Paul C. Jones working for us.
Yes, that's it. Good job, Liam.
Yep.
Oh, to have a young, good mind.
Could you say that name one more time, just for the minute?
Paul C. Jones Working Forest, colloquially known as Brushy Mountain.
Yeah. And Liam actually wrote the article for the spring issue.
Yeah, which was wonderful.
That is not true.
You edited it.
I just looked at the article.
That's right. Yes.
It looks great. And then
Okay, well, we're
use the article that already exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was written by Jeannie Brown.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had thought about putting something in about the project at the top of the lake, but I think it's probably wiser to do that after the project is finished rather than at this point. But maybe by spring, that is something that we could include. So Linda, you don't have any ideas, do you?
No, actually I don't.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Is it well known in the town that culverts, like why culverts are replaced? And like why the purpose of those projects?
Well, the highway department always takes the initiative. Well, not at the lake. At the lake, at the lake, it's such a different story because the roads around the lake are privately maintained by the residents in the lake community. And so a lot of things happen that we don't know about. With the town, we have a memo of understanding with Tim Hunting, our highway supervisor, which states that if he has any significant projects that he intends to do over the course of the upcoming year, that we'll talk with him and let him know whether we feel like he needs to do any additional paperwork with us before proceeding. But we don't have a mechanism like that at the lake. And it's, you know, it's unfortunate in that almost anything done at the lake is pretty close to the lake. So trying to, we've worked hard and over the past couple of years to cultivate a relationship with the people on the road committee in the Lake Association. And that's been good. You know, we've worked closely with them on at least one project. But it would be good just to remind them that if they're planning anything like a culvert replacement, it would be good to have us know about it ahead of time. Does that answer your question? Or are you thinking about that from the topic of putting an article in the newsletter?
More related to that, but what you said was still very relevant and helpful. Thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, our next topic on the list is the draft of the general wetlands bylaw, but I think I want to postpone that until after we deal with our 7:30 commitment.
Yep.
And we have on here the special conditions list. Linda, does that mean you found it?
No, I didn't. I just left that as a sort of a tickler reminder that you had talked last week about, or suggested that perhaps Robin would begin to keep a list of special conditions as determinations and orders are issued. And so I just wanted to just kind of touch base and be
Keep
sure
that in
that
our minds.
Robin was okay about doing that. And
Okay.
I actually did, as we were doing last week's paperwork, write down a couple of the conditions we put in a Word document. Robin, I can share that with you if you want to be the keeper of the keys on this.
Or if somebody else does, that's fine. Like if I'm going to be doing the other conservation trail project.
Yeah, I'm happy to continue to kind of just take notes on commonalities between paperwork and permitting stuff, just so, you know, as we are issuing new permits and stuff, we can just say, oh yeah, well, does this seem right, or this is applicable, and it'll just be kind of easy.
Okay, that would be
That would
great.
be awesome if you were willing to do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
And if, you know, you ever want help or have us read something over, that would be great.
Okay.
I have one little technical request. Mary, can you tilt your monitor so we can see you, because we can only see the top of your head? There we go. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, so it is not quite 7:30. I guess we'll, maybe we have time to do the Bakerfield CR Kestrel monitoring visit update. And Liam, I guess you have a little more information on that.
I don't really have a lot more. Chris sent me a screenshot of his monitoring report, and all it really expanded on was the route that he walked on the CR, which is a pretty small space. So there's a map now showing where he walked, and it's the same text report that we got in the email.
So I've printed that out and put it in the Bakerfield CR notebook. So we have it as part of the record.
Well, I hope next year's report is more robust. And then, well, leading to our 7:30 event, I'll give a quick update on the status of the ANRAD applications. And so a couple of days ago, because we haven't really heard from anyone representing TRC for close to a month. Is that right, Linda? I think.
Well, the last time I had some communication with Maria Furstenberg was relative to the 827 public hearing, just confirming that it was going to be continued. And
Right.
yeah, that's it.
But that was the only information.
Correct.
So I reached out to Maria this week just to ask her if she could give us an update for tonight. And what she said was, "Hi Penny, my apologies for my delayed responses lately. We're requesting a continuance for the Montague site, which is the one that would have been discussed tonight."
No,
But that's wrong, right?
correct. Tonight is
Right,
at
and-
Corner East. Yeah.
Right, exactly. There were, so we'll get that squared away. She said, "I will have additional information about the site expansion for you tomorrow." And again, it's the wrong site, but this is the site where we agreed to include an additional 40 acres under the current ANRAD. And then she said, "We are on track for the other ANRAD meetings as currently scheduled, although we need to get the dates straight with her. We were asked to prepare, we were asked to prepare ANRADs for a couple of other sites in Shutesbury, same applicant. So those took priority more recently to avoid winter submission. One site is approximately 80 acres and the other is approximately 25 acres. And Linda knows that abutter lists have been taken out for both of these, so we should expect those fairly soon. These two new applications will be filed in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and other updated plans will be submitted around those. And I also reached out to our peer review consultant, Emily Stockman, because she got in touch with Linda and I as well this week and said that she also had not heard from anyone from TRC for a while. So I forwarded Maria's email to her and just confirmed that Emily Stockman is still waiting for all the final maps from Maria so she can do her final review and give us a final report, which we need to proceed. So I'm not quite sure what's up with that.
Penny, will you please forward that email to the Concom email address so we have it for the record?
I think I did. Did I not?
No.
I'm sorry. I thought I did. Did I
Yes.
forwarded Emily's to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry, I thought I forwarded them both. They both came in. I mean, it happened at about 5:30 tonight that I saw
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and on that note, we will open the public hearing for 7:30 p.m.
Excuse me, Penny. It is there. It's just was in a different train, so it's there. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll open the public hearing for the ANRAD at ZW-6 Pratt Corner Road East, not the Montague project, and we will continue it to a further date. And Linda, can you help me out with that?
So
It would
let's
be
see. Okay, so tonight is 9:10 Pratt Corner East. 9:24 is Baker. 10:08 is Carver. 10:22 is Pratt Corner West. So
it would be then in November.
it would be the first and only meeting in November. which is the 12th of November.
Okay, so I recommend that we continue this to 7:30 PM on November 12th. I'll make a motion that we continue it to 7:30 on November 12th. Can I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor, please vote and say your name.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Penny Jakes, aye. So to be continued and continued and continued. So I was surprised that 2 more sites are being considered. I don't know much yet.
Right, only we do know that the abutter lists have been requested.
Right. So,
And now the information from Maria Furstenberg, so.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk for a few minutes about the general wetlands bylaw. So I did read through, let me get back to that document.
Do you want to screen share that, Liam, or shall I?
I can screen share.
It will be helpful because, whoop.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
So can I just interrupt for a minute, Linda? Well, I'm trying to think. One of us needs to make sure Maria has the correct dates for the correct hearing for the ANRADs.
Okay.
Would you like me to do that?
Either way, either way, I traditionally follow up. The clerk traditionally follows up with her. So I can send her an email.
Okay.
Tessa
Can
and I
you
can.
just send her the dates for all 4
Yeah.
sites as we have them recorded?
Yes. And we'll do that. We'll do that next week.
Okay. And I will pass on to Maria the fact that Emily Stockman is waiting for final maps for all of the sites.
Okay.
Sorry, what was the name of the person we need to follow up with?
Maria Furstenberg, can you spell it, Linda? Firstenberg, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's with TRC, who is the environmental consultant company who put the ANRAD applications together.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, Liam.
That's okay. So do you have thoughts on the draft, Penny?
Yes, I apologize. I read it quickly this afternoon. And I have just a couple of clarifying questions. I'm presuming the changes are all in different colors. Is that correct?
Yes, and that kind of indicates who made the edit. So I think
Okay.
Linda was in blue, I was in orange, and Robin was in green.
Okay.
And everything else was already there from this 2011 draft.
Can you show it for those of us who don't have a copy? Can you
Yeah, I'll just kind of scroll
go through it? You're going to go through it
um,
all? Okay.
Yeah, so there are, I don't know how many sections because I didn't author the entire thing, but it says the purpose section, which talks about kind of the reason behind the bylaw, why we have one in addition to the Wetlands Protection Act. Then there's the jurisdiction section, so the actual resource areas that we're expanding the Wetlands Protection Act on. And I guess in this case, we're actually curtailing them from the current wetlands bylaw that Shutesbury has. But we're also getting a little more specific about certain resources and like talking about Lake Wyola, vernal pools.
How are you curtailing them?
So one of the curtailings is this section C. So a water body in the area within 50 feet of that water body. Previously, anything within the 100-foot buffer zone was resource area in the current local bylaw, not previously.
Right,
And,
correct, right.
And so this is proposing that aside from the other jurisdictional sections A, B, and D, that every other water body, only the 50-foot from, you know, like the mean high water mark is going to be a resource area. So that's the reduction. This reduced from 100 feet in current bylaw, but then we're adding vernal pools.
And what was your rationale for that?
It was mainly that the way we were talking about this 100 feet resource area is that in the Wetlands Protection Act, if you're working in the resource area, you have to submit a notice of intent. And currently, we're not really doing that with our local bylaw. And so even for minor projects, basically, what we came to the conclusion of is that you would have to submit a notice of intent to do any project, regardless of how minor it is, within 100 feet of any resource area. And so that was kind of the rationale.
Within the resource area, which is defined as 100 feet from a water body.
So are you changing the definition of what is the resource area then?
Yes, for the local bylaw.
Yeah, that's what our local bylaw does, Penny, our current one.
Right, I know that.
Yeah.
Are you changing, can I ask a question? Are you changing the definition of isolated wetlands? It was like 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, so now I think it's 500 square feet. So they actually, we're decreasing the size criteria for isolated wetlands as well.
So you'll protect anything over
Greater
500?
than, yeah, over 500. And then we added, so those A, B, and C were already in the draft. And then we discussed this idea of adding D, which is Lake Wyola in the area. So like at making the 25 foot away from the Lake Wyola shore resource area. And that rationale was it's already a lot more developed than other areas in town. But it was, so like we want to kind of give folks flexibility to do projects, but we also want the jurisdiction to impose conditions that would improve water quality. So like, I know, Penny, you've talked a lot about, you know, native shrubs and plants along the shoreline. This would kind of give us more power to do that.
Yeah, the no-mow areas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
So here you added exceptions and exemptions.
yes.
And what's the distinction?
It's subtle. The Wetlands Protection
Yes, it was
Act,
so subtle I missed it.
they really only talk about exemptions in the Wetlands Protection Act. And that was kind of the main, I'm still not really clear on the differences in these two definitions, but we just wanted to be sure that we were kind of all encompassing with the terminology, because later in this section, we added some exemptions or exceptions from the Wetlands Protection Act that we felt are positive for resource area and water quality protection. So this is pretty much verbatim out of the Act, the regulations from the Act, of activities within a resource area that we thought should not require permitting processes. So yeah, fencing, sorry.
So this matches the language for minor activities in the revised act.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Yes, but we did not include all of the exceptions that the Wetland Protection Act does.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, do you want me to go through them or?
No, I read through them.
Okay. And then this is regarding applications. This first correction was just kind of a clarification of form numbers, as well as originally it just said Mass DEP here and didn't define Mass DEP. So that was that correction. And then for other applications not listed in section A, which I think is just request for determination, we included a definition section at the end of the document that would define different applications that
Right.
an applicant might be interested in knowing about, to kind of like see which one would fit their project the best. So that's, I guess, all we did there.
So can we go back for just a minute?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
sorry.
see in section, can you scroll down to where I can see section A in that, or part A of section 4?
Mhm.
So why do you not include notices as, oh, this is just for determinations, okay.
So it's section 4 is requests for determination and
Okay.
applications. Applications is used because it might be a notice of intent or an ANRAD. So that's what that differentiation is from determinations and applications, and why we inserted definitions for what applications could be.
Okay, so then why do you call out the request for determination in A and not other possible applications? that
Because
might-
the next one is under B. Application is considered under B.
Okay,
And then, so we defined specific types of applications in the definition section.
I find that confusing.
Hmm.
I don't quite understand the logic of how that's organized, but I didn't sit through your meeting, so there may be a great reason. It doesn't jump out at me immediately.
I think maybe when you have a chance to, this is just my thinking on it, Penny, because we read and reread and reread and discussed. And so I think perhaps when you may have a chance to reread it again, it might make sense. We were trying to have it be such that it was helpful to readers, because our current bylaw is unwieldy and challenging to understand. So we, this was our effort to try to improve upon that, using the 2011 draft and to improve it further.
Okay.
So
Well, I'll read it again with that in mind. Okay, sorry, Liam, head on.
No worries. So then this is notice for meetings and hearings. I didn't really focus much on this section, but I think Linda added this and certified by the assessor's office section because I don't know, would you want to talk about that, Linda?
yeah, I just added that in so that there would not be any because the original sentence just says the list must be obtained from the most recent records, which a member of the public might presume that they could create their own list. So to eliminate any confusion, that sentence was added or amended.
Okay. Okay.
We didn't touch the meetings and determinations section. We discussed possibly changing this 21 days to 14 days because there was some discussion of what the Massachusetts wetland regs were, I think.
Right. Well, we clarified, we clarified it's 21 days in the regs.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, I would be hesitant to make it shorter because especially during the time of year when we only meet once a month, that presents an additional challenge. Okay.
So, and then for hearings and orders of conditions, I think we just made an edit in section A, maybe,
Mhm.
that the commission, I'm not sure what it said originally, but yeah, now we change it to that we must hold a public hearing within 21 days of an application receiving it.
Yep.
And the commission shall impose conditions of work issued in an order of conditions or other order consistent with the application. And then we kind of just called out an example of an application that would be, you would not get an order of conditions, but like an ORAD instead.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not sure what this first sentence said before, actually.
It didn't say anything. I mean, it started with within 21 days of closing the public hearing.
Oh,
So it made sense to have the include like the prior section on determinations or request for determinations. If you can scroll back, it says, whoop. Just a little bit further. No, back to where we were. No, keep going. No, the other way, Liam.
the other way.
Yeah, the other way. The other way.
Yes, there we go.
It says within 21 days. It starts with what the commission has to do. So that's why in section 7 it makes sense to say within 21 days the commission has to hold a public.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah,
Cool.
that's all. It was just a clarifying sentence.
So, and then there's the regulations section, which talks about that we didn't really do anything to this section, but we need regulations. They're amendable outside of town meeting. I don't know if it says that in here. But also that if we don't establish regulations, this document will still be legal. And then so it also talks about establishing definitions that are relevant to the document outside of the document and the regulations, and establishing a schedule of filing fees. So that's kind of TBD right now, but we have talked about maybe at least talking about the filing fees and defining them, and then formatting them as a table for kind of a user-friendly format compared to the format right now.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, in the regulations, but even though we'd like to change the regulations, we really have to update the bylaw first so that the regulations reflect the bylaw.
Right. Okay.
And then we have our definition section. We talked about really in detail what alter refers to, what buffer zone refers to, what isolated wetland, person, vernal pool.
And are these basically the definitions in the Wetlands Protection Act, or did
They, well, isolated wetland is not, because that refers to a wetland of 500 square feet or more. So that's like a specific size. I actually don't know how these relate to the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
This kind of looks like it's from the act, though, the alter section, just based on the wording. Buffer zone takes a definition from the Wetlands Protection Act.
So that's so when I see and hear these little I don't know what you call those little parentheses, like in C, at the end of C, where it says size reduced from 1,000 square feet in code by law. All of those are changes that Linda, Robin, and Liam made, as opposed to changes.
No.
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 Go ahead, Robin.
Okay.
Those were notes from when Gail Fleischaker made the 2011 draft. So we just left some of those in temporarily. So
I see. Okay. I had assumed as I read it that those were edits that you three made
No, our only edits are going to be in color.
in color? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good to know.
In the vernal pool definition, so there is the definition that is referred to in the Wetlands Protection Act, but then also a further definition, and that it doesn't have to be certified. So it's more about the hydrologic conditions described here than whether or not it's certified by Mass Fisheries and Wildlife. So even if it's not certified, as long as it meets these criteria, then it still will count as a vernal pool under this under the bylaw.
Okay.
And then we have this definition section for applications after water body.
And I included which particular form the applicant would need to use.
Okay. That was good.
Yep. And then there's this section, which I still don't really understand, if I'm being quite honest. It's a little too legalese for me.
Right. Those are the sections that our town council will give us guide, is gonna require us to have.
And then an enforcement section, which I don't really think we did anything to either.
No, we didn't.
No.
Seems sound. And then I think severability is the last section.
What did you, it looks like a section 11 was deleted.
Yeah. So that was from the 2011 draft as well. I don't really know what the burden of proof section does, but
Right.
they seem to think it was a redundant and not necessary section.
And Linda, question to you.
Mhm.
Honestly, I barely even remember going through this in 2011. Was this reviewed by our town council? Did it get that far?
It did get that far because it was ready for it was on the warrant for the annual town meeting in 2011. However, it was withdrawn because the commission could never, couldn't. There was some disagreement, and I don't remember what the what the issue was, but it was ready to go, except for that there was something that couldn't be resolved at
Okay,
that time.
thank you. Okay, sorry, Liam. Lots of questions.
Yeah, that's okay. I think we're all still kind of getting a handle on understanding this document, even though we've spent a fair amount of time with it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I do know that I've heard that we had one of the earliest town wetlands bylaws in the state. And I don't even know who was on the commission when this was done. I've always wondered who wrote it. And I think as you three found, I always found it a very confusing document.
Yes.
I think Janice Stone had a part in it.
Oh, the original one, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. And so that's why we elected to use the 2011 draft, because so much work, clarifying work had been done to create the 2011 draft. And so, yeah. So there we are. So,
So that's the end of any changes, or is this so section 12 is the last section?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much does this correspond to MACC's model bylaw?
I think it's fairly reliant on the model bylaw from MACC.
Yeah, we spent time with the e-handbook sections on bylaws, and which were very helpful.
And I know they have published a model bylaw.
Yes.
And you looked at that as well.
Yes, we spent a lot of our early meetings, learning.
Well, it's a great exercise. I'm sure you know the bylaw infinitely better than I do at this point.
Well, we especially know the 2011 draft better.
Yeah, really, really. Gosh, okay.
I mean, my big takeaway was that we don't really use the local bylaw in the
No,
way.
but in the way it was intended. So I'll
Yeah.
tell you, as I'm listening to all of this now, the thing that's sort of running in the back of my mind is that Emily Stockman has referred to our bylaw multiple times in this whole ANRAD process. And I wonder if it would be worth sharing the changes with her, just from the perspective of someone who looks at these in many towns and has to pay attention to them as she's doing her job, just like a really well-trained set of eyes looking it over.
I remember back when the Wheelock Tract solar project was being permitted up on Pratt Corner Road.
Yeah.
We had some consultation with Patrick Garner, which you may remember. Some neighbors hired him and he
Right.
testified, and he said the town bylaw was unique.
Did he say that as if he thought that was a good thing?
He thought it was a great thing.
Yeah.
He used to be the president of MACC. He really approved of it. And it was actually, I think, important because there were some wetlands that were some isolated wetlands that were in the 1,000 square foot range that ended up getting protected because of it.
Right. Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anyway, as we make changes, I think it's worth having a little truth on the ground to make sure we're not excluding anything that has served us well.
Right. And we recognize that, that's why we began when we did, why we chose to move forward with discussing it now in September, because of the need to get feedback, and just to feel good about this, plus the fact that it will need to go through town council too before it can go to annual. They'll be needing a public hearing, but before that, approval by Donna McNichol. To be sure we're all good from her perspective.
What was the name, Miriam, that you mentioned about from MACC?
It was a consultation with a wetland scientist named Patrick Garner. He's a former head of the MACC. He's not a current one. And he approved of that particular provision.
The 1,000 square foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 500 is even more restrictive.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's 8 o'clock. So let's do our 8 o'clock business quickly. So I'll open the public hearing for the notice of intent at the Sawmill River Culvert on Locks Pond Road. And I think all of you saw, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name of their company. Is it Niche?
Niche, I think.
Niche, okay. Has asked for a continuation to our next meeting so that we have time to do a site visit tomorrow. And also they have some additional time to respond to all the additional information that we requested at our last meeting.
Yeah.
So, just lost my pencil again, excuse me, there it is. So they requested a continuation to our second meeting in September. Is that right, Linda?
Yes. So yes, in 2 weeks. So 9/24.
9/24. So I will make a motion that we continue the Sawmill River Culvert NOI to 9/24 at 8 p.m.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, please state your name and vote.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Jenny Jakes, aye. Okay. So are there any other Oh, I see you have a couple more. So we're not doing orders for the Sawmill River culvert tonight.
Right, because when we put the agenda up, we didn't know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Linda, you have down here a review of pending future agenda items.
Mhm. Yes, so two things. One, at your next meeting, there'll be a public hearing for a notice of intent at 26 Lake Drive, which is for a tear down and rebuild. You've already been to that site. You were there actually in this early spring, pre-COVID, to for a septic system and well installation, RDA. Anyway, so that'll be on the agenda for the 24th at 7:15. And then I also, and so the other, what I did list on the agenda is that the Old Peach Orchard conservation restriction monitoring visit would have been, we did it in the fall last year, actually in November, and we were hoping maybe to do it in the spring this year, but you know, things being what they were, site visits just being done essentially, it will be time to begin to think about scheduling that in October, November. The really fun news, of course, is that both Tessa has experience doing monitoring visits, and Liam will be there too. So that's really, really great news. Yeah.
So do you think it's worth trying to schedule a time for that now, or just wait till October?
I just wanted to, get it there as a tickler that it was time to start planning, and later October, early November, whatever you all decide. But I didn't want to lose track of it in our transition.
Well, other commissioners, would you rather do a CR monitoring visit in October or November?
October.
October.
Sounds like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, well, we have a pretty piece of property. So
do you want to put it on the agenda for the next meeting and
to set a date at our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So Robin, were you here when we did the visit last year? You were along, weren't you?
Yes, and your dog was eating acorns.
Yes, he continues to do that. It's very regular. All that roughage. Okay. So, okay, well, we will talk about that at our next meeting then. And items not anticipated by the commission. Anyone have any items?
I don't know if you want to talk about membership. Somehow didn't put that there.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it seems like we have two individuals who have hung through our last couple of meetings, and I know we will soon have 2 spots. I guess the commission just needs to sort out how to move forward with that. I think what I would like, I wondered if it was worth just going over, and this might be a useful thing for Liam and Robin to weigh in on, just review what the commitments are. I don't know if either of you could quickly speak to that.
Yeah. So I'm not even a full year in. I think Robin, you're close.
Close
But
but not quite.
generally in the warmer months, we're meeting twice a month. I'm not, so is it March through October that we meet twice a month?
Correct.
Okay, and then the rest of the year we meet once a month, generally on a Thursday night. So I think it's the second and fourth Thursday we're meeting twice a month, and the second Thursday we're meeting once a month.
Mhm.
And then we do site visits, what feels like around every 2 weeks during the warmer months to me. And they'll generally be during the week at a time that works for everyone on the commission. And they'll generally take,
I'm going to interrupt. Can I interrupt for just a minute? And this actually affects you to some degree, Liam. There have been times when we had more people on the commission who were still working, and we often did our site visits on the weekend at that point. So, and just because of your work schedule, that's something for you to consider. I think we can accommodate that if that makes your life easier, because we certainly want to have you along on visits.
Yep.
it sounds like I'll be able to do them during the week.
Okay.
And I would prefer that in having a Sunday off
Yeah.
rather than doing them on a Sunday.
We would all prefer that if it works for, everyone that it needs to work for. But do keep in mind that it is an option if it interferes with things.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. And pre state of emergency, it was fairly routine for the commission to do up to 3, depending on the depth of the site visit, up to 3 before the meeting started. So they, folks would often meet maybe about a few minutes before 6 and go out and do 2 or 3 site visits before the meeting. But for obvious reasons, we've gotten away from that over the last 6 months.
So the other thing that's been great, I think, with Liam and Robin, is that they've taken on the task of looking at this bylaw, and there have been sort of a lot of back burner projects that have not had much forward progress over the past few years. So I'm really grateful that you two have stepped up and done that. And whoever ends up joining the commission, we hope you'll take on some little corner of what needs to be done and make it your own. I think everything runs a lot more smoothly when that is the case. So Mary and Miriam, what I would love is for you two to mull that over and perhaps prepare, just send us an email that confirms that you're interested in that level of responsibility. And then I think if you're both interested, we'll need to sort out timing on things. Since we have one opening immediately and one opening at some point when I step down.
When is that going to be?
Well, my term ended the end of June, and had the ANRADs not been, well, 2 things. If the ANRADs had not continued this long, and if Linda hadn't decided that she needed to pull back when she did, I think I would have stepped down. And frankly, when Linda told me today that she got wind of these 2 new ANRADs, I said a few expletive deleters in my inside my brain. So I'm thinking this fall at some point, but this is almost like my other child. I feel like I just want to send it out into the world, functioning as happily as possible. So anyway, fairly soon.
Is there any education, or what kind of education for preparation is available?
There's quite a bit. As with everything else, it's all online right now. But there's a group called MACC, which stands for Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions, that is sort of a support group for all the conservation commissions in town. And they offer a fall conference and a spring conference at which there are many relevant workshops that people from all over the state participate in. And they also do a series of what they call fundamentals training. And I've lost track. Are there still 8 of them? There may be more at this
There's
point.
more now, yeah.
Yeah, when I started way back in the dark ages, there were 8 of them. And they covered topics ranging from how to run a meeting, what is a resource area, you know, how to write an order of conditions, how to do conservation restriction work, and many other topics. And they're really valuable. I think I made it through all of them except for one. And I always learned a lot. The conferences were always good. I think both Liam and Robin went to the conference this spring.
Right, and I did one of them there, and then just recently online, I did the one on the overview of the Wetland Protection Act.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that useful?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that MACC does now, I think it's a sort of when you become a new commissioner, they have a little song and dance for new commissioners to sort of get you into the loop, which I've heard very good things about. That didn't exist when I started. So there are all those things.
You can go on their website and access some things without being a member. And I'll forward to you the most, Miriam, I'll forward to you the most recent MACC education update. So you can take a look at that. Yeah.
So just one other thing. So I always find this kind of an odd thing that we have a state Wetlands Protection Act with all these complicated regulations, and they ask a group of volunteers to administer this, and that's who we are, the group of volunteers who administer this. And it is a fairly steep learning curve. There are certainly a lot of resources, but somehow we managed to do it. But the best thing you can do is to ask a lot of questions. And one of the people that we ask a lot of questions to is Mark Stinson, who's an employee of DEP. He works in the Western Mass DEP office, and he's what's called our circuit rider. He is working remotely right now, as everyone is, but he's there to, by email or phone, to answer questions if you find yourself in a pickle. And certainly Linda and I talk with him fairly often, because even after all these years,
Things come up.
Things come up, you know. We do a lot of the same things over and over and over again, and we feel pretty confident about that. But like this big culvert coming out of Lake Wyola, this is a big project. I don't think we've ever had a culvert project this scale before. And so Mark has given us a lot of advice, and we'll continue to do that. And then he's just there, you know, if you have some weird question you don't know the answer to, he either knows or he'll help you figure it out.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, he will.
So Mary, did that answer your question? It was kind of a long answer.
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions, Miriam?
What are some of those back burner projects that you're thinking
Well,
about?
so revising the regulations that go along with the bylaw is one, and that has to happen after the bylaw is finished. Let's see. I wrote them all down not too long ago.
We, made at one, well, this is one, a couple of things are, well, we have the need to get in touch with Amherst about the Rosses and Gang annual mowing arrangements. There's been a long wish to look at the McNeil CR covenant restriction. associated with Old Peach Orchard, looking at criteria for accepting conservation restrictions. Someday going on a field trip to some of the obscure conservation areas. We still have that maintenance notice of intent on the back burner.
The road maintenance?
So is that famous, right, bundled order, which we sort of decided maybe not,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
still on the list.
Right.
But, and
But just, to add to that, I've served as the secretary for the commission for most of the time and
yes,
written the annual report and worked with Linda to we have a big Excel spreadsheet that tracks our projects over the course of the year, from that we extract the information we need for the annual report. So taking over those kind of responsibilities, taking over writing Linda now writes many of the sort of routine letters for the commission, but other commissioners have at various times taken the lead in written communication with members of the public.
Yeah.
So taking over the website, I've been doing that for the past, since the winter, I guess. When we've been trying to keep more and more information on there so people can find out what's going on. Yeah.
Right, that's a really new activity in terms of, requiring more attention and updating that Penny's been doing, because we use the website now to post applications, something that we didn't do prior to having virtual meetings.
Right. Yeah.
People would come into the office to look at things. Yeah.
Right. So there's also a big project of reorganizing our files, which I have said that I would help Linda with, but it would be great to have someone else do that. Currently, we keep all of the files for all of the projects by the last name of the property owner, which for the long haul is not a great way to do it, as properties change, and it's better to know what happened at the property rather than what happened with the person who owned it. So there's an effort to try and reorganize all that information so it relates to the location itself.
Right. And so all for a while now, all the current projects are now identified by address.
Right.
And map and parcel. Yep.
So there's some things.
And then it's just keeping up with the what's on top.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, unless anyone else has questions.
Well, I will write an email, but I've been thinking about it, and I think I'm pretty clear-eyed about what this will require.
Good.
And I've been thinking on and off over the years of wanting to join the Concom. So this seems like the right time for me, at least.
Okay. Well, thank you.
But I'm sorry that you're leaving, because you're such an such an enormous resource. I hope you won't disappear.
I won't disappear.
Are you sending us your phone number?
Linda knows how to find me.
Okay.
She's disappearing.
I just agreed to take on working on the open space plan revision for town, so I'll be around.
As will I. So we know we're not disappearing.
Right.
So if
I'm
I
just
sent my
saying-
email,
Oh, just
if I sent my email, whoops, go ahead,
Okay.
sorry.
I was just going to say one other FYI about me is that it looks like I'm going to be going back onto the historical commission. So,
Oh, okay.
but
Is that a big responsibility? I don't know much about that.
hopefully not. I don't think so,
Yeah.
unless we decide to reorganize the storage closet. But that kind of belongs to Leslie Bracebridge. So,
Oh, okay, well, best of luck. Okay, and Mary, did you have any parting words for us?
So I did send an email in already, and I think you guys been very clear about the responsibilities, and it's something I'm still interested in learning more about and in committing to. So
Okay. Well, it's great to have two people who are interested. You know, as I have probably said at some point or another, we've been under committed for much of the time that I've been on the commission. So having a full commission would be a wonderful thing. So on that note, I move to close our meeting at 8:23 p.m. We have a second.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Liam Cregan, aye.
Penny Jakes, aye.
Robin Harrington, aye.
Okay, good night all.
Good night, all.
good night.
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 See
Thank
you
you.
tomorrow morning.
you.
All right, 9:30, right?
9:30 at the dam. Yep.
Okay.
I'll stay on, Linda.
Yes, yes, I'm not leaving.
Okay, I'm leaving.
Good night.
Me too.
Bye, Robin. Okay. Oh, there's Becky.
Just in time to turn it off. Are you guys going to talk for long?
We were just going to
No.
talk for a minute. I can end it.
Does that work? Because I'm not sure. Last time I had to go turn it off.
Oh, you had to turn it off. Okay, we're just going to quickly
Pick
Figure
another
out-
training date.
figure out a training date. So just a couple minutes.
I'll just
Oh.
pack up and that
Okay.
way you can button it up when you're done.
Okay, thanks, Becky.
Sure.
So I'm pretty. What I need to take care of tomorrow is a full day, and so I don't know what would work good for you.
Yeah, tomorrow is pretty busy for me too.
Okay.
I'm gonna be trying to get, after the service, I'll be trying to get the minutes typed up. And then I have stuff to prepare for our Concom meeting on.
I was thinking that. Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah.
And also I think I'll definitely still have preparation on Monday also, but at the same time, I want to keep moving forward with this. So certainly I could devote maybe a smaller chunk of time on Monday. Otherwise, Tuesday, I could commit a longer chunk of time.
Okay. So so I want to, do what makes sense for you, and it maybe because I know, like you said, you were away and you've been, learning a lot here in Shutesbury, and you have catch up for, getting things done at Leverett. So do you want to wait till Tuesday and plan a Zoom?
If you felt like that wasn't slowing your transition down, if you were feeling like that wasn't too much of a burden to, I know you're trying to ease out of this.
Yeah, I think Tuesday would be good because I have my admin secretary job plus numbers of other, some of the things that I will follow up on. Like tomorrow I have to get all the site visit things ready and things like that. So I think that planning a Zoom session, from we'll just say 10, is 10 good on Tuesday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll book it from 10 to 12, and then, if we don't need that much time, that's all right. But
Okay, and maybe earlier, oh no, Grace doesn't get there. So maybe after we talk, I'll try and get to the office again to locate the procedures, because I think
right, and I want to, because I want to talk to you about, remote access of things, because so that you can do some of it from home, so you don't have to go into the office.
Right, that's right.
That's what, so I want
I think a big thing to help move this forward would be to have me start being able to access the email.
Right,
So
right, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So, so we can get you set up. I can just, I can forward you the email. I think I can forward the document with the office procedures.
Okay.
I think that's okay to do.
Okay.